each year we get to that point where you have the first freeze. Depending on where you live, it's going to be a little sooner. If you live in the northern hemisphere and you live in the northern United States, for example, your freeze probably happened over a month ago. If you're here, like I am in Central Texas, our freeze happened about 5 days ago, back on October 30th, which was actually a little bit early for us. Last year, it was around November 15th. The year before was November 1st. This year, October 30th. So it was in the range. But the reason I tell you about the frost is with your garden, what's the thing that's going to be sustained through the cold months? And there are a few things, and there's one in particular that always really does well for us. And I'll tell you, it was a friend of ours about 4 years ago that said, "Hey, can you plant some turnips for me?" And we said, "Yeah, we'll give them a try." Well, they did so well in those cooler months that we did it every year since. And I'm going to flip the camera around here and show you something, which is kind of amazing to see. If you look at this row right here, those are bunch beans or green beans, which you could see now have frost damage. And we knew that going in that this was going to end up being a cover crop, and they bring nitrogen back to the soil. So all is good. We knew that the frost this would happen, but they have now been frozen down. But once you start to move over here to the right, you can see these turnips. There's a row of snow peas, also very frost resistant, does well in cold weather. But there again, there's turnips, and another row. You can see a little bit of leaf if you look close, a little bit of browning in places where there's a little bit of freeze damage, but these continue to do well. That's sweet alyssum, which is a cover crop. But turnips are one of those things that, depending on where you're at, you can plant like we did in late August, early September, or if you're in a little bit cooler climate, you could start sooner. But here's the beauty of turnips. They do well down to 20 degrees, and even if they have multiple different frosts, it's not really going to hurt them. And in fact, in many cases, they'll taste a little bit sweeter after a frost. I've had other people talk about that. We've seen it out here ourselves. After we've had a freeze, they actually get a little bit sweeter, a little bit better taste. The only thing that's really going to hold these turnips back, if you live in a much colder climate where the ground is going to stay frozen for several days, you can certainly get damage and they're not going to make it. But in many, many climates, depending if you don't get that sustained cold, say over a couple of weeks, then you might be fine and your turnips might survive very well. I'll tell you, here in the Texas Hill Country, we'll have times in the winter where one time it got down to 7, which is really rare. We had a couple of times this past winter where we hit 14, 15 degrees, but it didn't stay there. The temperature rebounded quickly. We were up in the 30s the next day. And of course, this is January, February. But I will tell you, those turnips continue to do well and survive, and we're able to get a very decent harvest. Now, one of the things I'll tell you, whenever you're planting your turnips, they are very small little seeds. So if you have a small garden, you could just go in with your finger and just make that little furrow with your finger about 1/4 of an inch deep. Doesn't have to be deep at all. Drop them in, space them. You don't want them too close together, but they can be bunched fairly close together. Drop them in, cover them up, keep them watered, watch them germinate. They're going to be fine. Now out here where we use a little earthway seeder, I use the smallest seed plate that you can use so we wouldn't drop them too close together. I feel like they still got bunched a bit too close together. If you look at this, that is very tight. But at the same time, last year, I think we even had them a little bit tighter and they still did well. We had some of those turnips that ended up a little small, but you had others out on the edge of the rows that actually got large and did fine. But back to my little earthway seeder, I use the very smallest seed plate I can, the little seed plate that drops the seeds out. Still dropped a little bit too many. But I'll tell you one thing to keep in mind. Sometimes people will see those larger turnips that get really big, like the size of your fist or bigger. And the thinking is, well, those are going to be maybe a little bit more tough. They're not going to have the good taste. And I'll tell you, I've found those to taste just as good, just as well, when we've chopped them up, cut them up, and had them just as good as some of the smaller ones. That may vary in your area, but our experience has been Larger turnips really tasted well um, too. So that's something just to keep in mind. So each year, if you're looking something to carry you into those colder months, turnips are a really great choice. They do well out in this cold weather. They thrive in it. Taste actually gets better after there's been a freeze, and it's just a good choice. So just wanted to let you know about that. And that's one of the things here at Whirlwind Family Farm. If you've never done a garden before or had experience in it, we want to be able to give you those little bits of information that take you further along in that gardening process. We appreciate that you found our channel, and we do appreciate when you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. Give us your comments. There's a lot of different things you can try in the colder months. Some of them are successful, some are not. We'd love to hear your experience, your feedback, so please put that in the comments. And we always are going to have another video right here you can check out. It'll take you further along on our channel. Check those out. We know you're going to like them. Blessings over you, your family, and your garden. Talk to you soon from Whirlwind Family Farm.